How's it going, Sha?
I'm in my closet.
I got to tell you, my favorite episodes. What
I'm in
brings you
my
to the closet?
well, they're doing something to the front of my apartment building, and I don't know what it is. But they've been doing it for days. Um, and it's I'm sure it's I'm sure it's to improve. It's the landlord's idea. He's fixing up his house. Basically, he's fixing up his house, and I just happen to live in his basement. So, that's how that goes. But I hope that he's doing this correctly. Uh, uh, you know how some of the like townhouses here have a little patch in the front that could be like a yard. I guess it is the yard, but it's like there's a little patch that could be dirt,
Okay.
and or they could plant stuff there, or they could just pave it over. Right?
Yeah.
They could just put tile over it. So it was dirt um for as long as I'd been here. It had a rose bush in the middle of it that
Ooh.
used to bloom.
Okay.
And then one year he just ripped all of the rose bush, as much of it as he could, and he made it. I'm sorry. He ripped that out and decided to make it his own little farm.
Okay.
And when I tell you to explain this parcel of dirt that's in front of the building, it is um I'm going to say 3 feet by 3 feet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not a large section of land. Um,
But it's his.
it's his. And so he decided to till it, and they were going to live off of the land. And they planted many things. Not much of it bloomed. There was one thing that bloomed, some sort of. I thought they were cucumbers, but it turns out they were watermelons or something. I forget what it was. Um, and then I guess there were supposed to be tomatoes on the other end, and maybe there were some like herbs and spices or something on
Okay.
another section. And um, he I remember him talking to me about how they planted those things, and it was you should living off the land, it's better, it's healthier for you, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, hey man, I hear you, but this land is literally right next to where I have to put my trash. um it is right next to the street where cars park or idle.
Hmm.
um Mostly idle, because there's also a fire hydrant right in the front of our house. And
Nice.
just there's a lot of moped action happening right at the level. It's just at a level of a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Not all of it great, possibly, but you do what you got to do with what you have. Um, And so occasionally, some woman would come from his house and come down and pluck a couple of leaves off of something that was there, that I guess was to cook with or to season their food, or whatever that was. What they, I think, are unable to see, and what I can see because I'm like underground, looking out of my window, looking up at the world to see what they're doing. So I'm like at foot level.
Yeah, you seen the roots.
I'm seeing, yes. So what I am seeing is that the people who live in the townhouse right next door, whenever they clean and they've got dirty soap water, they just throw it over the fence into their garden. That's what I'm
Oh.
seeing. And I don't think they're unable to see that because they're higher up. You speak to the people on the ground. They are seeing a lot. Um So, I guess at some point he abandoned that. I believe it abandoned him long before he abandoned that. So, uh there's still so he's decided to retile the whole front area there when you walk in. Um, so we've had tile piled up for a while because again, he's getting his cousin friend or someone to do this. And this is the same man who has painted our apartment
Oh,
and
he's good.
replaced our heaters. Like this man, bless his heart. He found a cohort. He got somebody with him to do this tile thing, but whoo, man. So it's been like last week I had a little bit of a rough week because I had my COVID shot, booster shot, and then it kind of hit me hard. So I took a day off work to kind of try to sleep it off. And that was the
Mhm.
day that they introduced a jackhammer to their things. And I was so tired. I was just like, I mean, this is already going on inside of me. So why wouldn't it also go on outside of my building?
There you
Um,
go.
yeah, and so there's just been a lot of breaking up of tile, and they got a couple more dudes to help them, and now it's a party. There's a lot of giggling and I bet gossiping. I feel like these 4 dudes out here are gossiping their asses off, and then playing music, and then dugga, 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 and then breaking tile and all kinds of. And then there was a cement situation where they did like a quick cement kinda because they gotta pave over everything. So they've got a huge tarp. Also, it was pouring rain last weekend, so they did all of this in the rain. They had a tarp over the front, so we have to bend down and, like, caution tape over the front gate. So my roommate and I have to, like, shimmy out of underneath our, the caution tape to get out of our apartment.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when I say it, it sounds wild, but it's also wild when I do it.
Now, how you go home to Saving Private Ryan, yo? Like that's
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what like, I got a lift home the other night, and the guy was like, "Here?" And I went, "Let's you know what? Just you go on your way." I know it looks abandoned. We've been having food delivered. The delivery guys are like, "What?"
I'm not allowed to leave it here, you know?
Yeah. So, we're just trying to live life as we would live it underneath, under the tarp, I guess. And so today I guess they're laying more tile or something. I don't know. We've been walking out of there on a ladder laid down flat with boards on top of the ladder. That's their scaffolding, by the way.
I like it. I like it.
It's been wild business. Anyway, so they're out there now, and normally where I am is kind of connected to that front area, and there was no way. So, to the closet I go.
Amen.
To
I
the
like it.
closet I go.
Well, first, shout outs to the immigrants. You know what I mean?
Shout outs to the immigrants, man.
Real talk.
This
Those
place is gonna be a brand new house by the end of it, but woo, the journey. The
real talk.
journey. Shout out to my garden apartment dwellers.
Y'all out there, yo. Real talk.
We're barely out there. We're not allowed. I'm truly like at first when they started pulling this tile out, I was like, they're gonna brick us up in here. I am the cast of Amontillado in this fucking I am literally in an Edgar Allan Poe story right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man, this is great. I love that you like somehow became an undercover boss person, just investigating for this poor like garden. Um if they only knew. If they
If
only
they
knew I
only
was watching,
knew. I mean, they just come out and I'm like, "Oh, man, I bet your stuff is soapier than cilantro right now." Just
That's the seasoning you want? For real?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what you want. I'm just like, I I don't know, man, but I don't know how to tell them. because anytime I'm just like, "Oh, garden, huh?" 'Cause we can barely understand each other. And so that's the other thing. And, yeah, and then it just he or his wife just go off on a thing about how it's healthier, and I also don't want to, like, really get the wife into a lotta conversation because they also sell Herbalife.
Mm.
And you know how it is if you anything beyond pleasantries, and
It's a
now I look like a mark, like, "Oh, okay."
Why else would you be talking, you
Yeah,
know?
why else? You obviously want to buy and sell Herbalife.
You know, there's a way you said something, that he ripped out the yard that, like, it
He
yo,
ripped out that rosebud, that
it
rose bush, just r
when I tell you, like, that warms my heart, yo, because like, I don't know why, but, like, I'm assuming your landlord is I believe I think you mentioned before he's a Latino,
Yes,
like,
he's,
Filipino.
Ecuadorian, I believe.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
something about, like, Spanish men over 50 that, like, they only rip things.
Yes.
Like, there's no other action. Everything is extreme, like, even out of love, like, "I got the fucking pizza." Like, it's always,
Yeah,
whatever the
it's
most aggressive way of doing the action, even if it's for their, like, peace and good,
yeah.
it's still done, like, they don't they open, like, bottles loud, everything. Like
Yeah, I think that's it's just the plan is so aggressive. Like, my roommate is my roommate is, a young white man who grew up in the South, so, um, in Alabama. So he is it whether he wanted to be or not, he has been around a lot of houses being built.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If there's something I learned from him, or maybe it was just his situation. Oh, there was a lot of times where people literally just buy a plot of land and then build a house on it, and my brain truly doesn't understand how that happens. And I'm
yeah, I
like,
don't
that must be just some white boy shit. Who just buys land and builds a house on it? Everyone does, Shalewa. That's literally how this country came to be, but this country came to be in a lot of ways that I don't understand or trust. Um, so, um, yeah, so he's been around it,
Yeah,
around renovations and all of this stuff, and he's just like, "What's the plan?" Like, he's like, the order of everything. He's just like, the order in which they're doing stuff, and there is, like, this kind of violence to it, where I'm
yeah,
just like, I feel like there's a I don't know if there's a softer way to do this, but it feels like there's a softer way, and then there was a lot of downtime because I think old dude was doing the work, was out of town for a few weeks, maybe, so
yeah.
we just had a pile of gravel in the corner and our trash cans just off to the side, and then just random buckets, and then the tile came in. It's like the dude, he got there's ironwork, a gate, to come into the area. He had that painted twice because the first time he painted it, it rained that night. And so he did it, and then at least the second time it rained the next day, so it looked better. Um, so they painted a lot of the house, they painted the ironwork and our all of this stuff, and then they had the tiles delivered, and they came in on a pallet, and they just jammed the pallet and broke the gate thing, so now the gate doesn't shut again, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." But the guys working on it, I guess, didn't realize it, so one day this week while working on it and they left, they were like, "Oh, we gotta close this gate. Oh, it seems to have a hard time closing. Well, we'll just fucking," and they just jammed the thing in there. So then, um, I don't know at the timing that they did it, my landlord's wife was coming back into the house. My roommate was getting ready to receive, like, a chair for delivery, and the fucking gate is jammed shut, and no one can do anything. My roommate's losing his fucking mind, and the landlord's wife is just like, "Huh." And I'm like, "Okay, again, this is the woman who was just like, just break that to get into your apartment." So she don't really care. Um, and then she happened to be with her daughter, and her daughter my roommate jumped over the little fencing to kick the gate in, but the daughter was, like, a half a step ahead of him, so just as he landed on the other side to kick it, the daughter kicked the thing in and finally got it open.
Oh my god.
And I was sitting inside watching like, "Ooh, this looks like a mess." Like it was television.
You can't pay for that.
Yeah. Like, I put whatever I was watching on pause. I'm like, "How's this gonna play out?" Like, everything is just so just jam the thing and rip and rap, and I'm just like, "Yo, I know we are doing a demo and we're rebuilt, but the rebuild feels violent. The demolition is violent, the rebuild feels violent. It's all very violent." And then to mark everything off, it's literally like yellow caution tape, like someone died there, and that's not it. They're just retiling the front, but it looks like a crime scene. A huge blue tarp and a yellow caution tape over the gate means someone died there.
Oh my god, I love it.
It's so much, and you gotta duck the tarp is so low, you gotta duck underneath that, and the tape is underneath that, so I'm literally just stooped, and every time I come out, they're like, "Sorry, ma'am, sorry," and I'm like, "Hey, man, don't apologize, like, just fucking do what you gotta do."
Is your process? Cool.
Is that right? I mean, I just live in the basement. I
Real
truly have
talk.
no say over anything. I
I'm
am rolling with as many punches as you have to roll with plus 1. So,
Listen, I stay out the way. I know it's in me. I have moments of that, but like I saw like because like my dad would be doing some shit like for example, my dad was like in at our house the other day. He was like in the hallway. I hear him like yelling, and like my kids come over there like, "Yo, grandpa's here," and like so and like if he's in like a jolly mood, they'll just run out and hug him. But
right.
like they like heard, like he was like cursing in Spanish. So they was like, yo, like they came to warn me of like, yo, go check in on grandpa. So I
Mhm.
go out and like he's just like, and another thing, he's like, your generation. I'm like, yeah, I just walked out here. But you like, I don't know. You talking about what did I do? And, and he's just like, y'all don't get it. And he's like, this is, I gotta keep fixing this, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, my man, like you're sweeping right now. Like you were literally just sweeping a hallway. You could do that so peacefully. There's
Right.
nothing. What's aggressive about sweeping? What does it require? Or let's he's like, nah, it's that I gotta keep sweeping. I was like, yeah, that's how life works.
Yeah,
Like
right.
we, like we,
That's not a generational thing. That's a
yeah,
we all do that.
yeah, we just all make dust. It's how skin works. Like I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, well, he's like, I gotta keep doing this. He's like, I gotta fight for everything I got, Gastor. And I'm like, no one's fighting you right now. We already own the house. It's our house. This is me and you. You fighting me right now, currently. I was peacefully inside. You could have texted me to say, hey, sweep the house. I heard it was dusty. I would have handled it, you know? But like, just like every task that he does is either like he's very jolly until he
Mhm.
is not, and then it is nothing but aggression. And there's no middle ground. I'm like, yo, this does not like we don't need to throw out the trash angry. This is gonna be trash every Tuesday,
Right.
Friday. It just is how it works. People live here, there's gonna be trash. You know what I mean? Most of the people living here related to you, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, like I hope they keep generating trash. It means they're alive. Like that is
Right.
fantastic. Uh, but yeah, like I've noticed that like whenever like I'm around like a genuine work being done, there's a like level of like jolly. We're almost at a bar energy, and then it's
Mhm.
very much like we are in the trenches. And I
Yes.
don't know when I don't know what transition and
Yeah.
like
It
moment
seems
happens. It just
instant.
happens.
It just
Yeah.
yeah, because 'cause I'm listening to that happen where they're just giggling and there's music, and then all of a sudden it's just
Yo.
I could tell in the tone. And again, I know nothing of what they're saying, but I'm
Yep.
like, oh, they having a fun time out here giggling. And then I go in my room and I come back out and I'm like, uh-oh, something
Straight.
happened. I'm not even out there, but the vibe in my apartment is different.
That's the shit, shot. I know the words. I still don't know what happened. I heard every freaking 40 years, shot, trying to understand what they're saying. No idea.
Oh, oh man.
Well, I'm glad you're surviving. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I am excited for the potentially new place you'll be living in. You know, by the same token, you might be in a construction zone for the next 3 to 5 years.
It's
Who knows?
possible. It's
Very
possible.
Brooklyn, you know. Either way, I'm rooting for you. I love the closet episodes. You know, it always leads to excitement.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something.
Let's get into the news. Off duty, Alaska Airlines pilot Joseph Emerson is hit with 83 counts of attempted murder after allegedly trying to turn off the engines mid-flight. That I want everybody to know that was the title of the article. They was like, yo, everybody need to know this up top. I don't want any empathy for this guy. Jesus Christ. Off-duty pilot allegedly had a mental breakdown and tried to crash a San Francisco-bound Alaska Airlines flight by shutting off the engines. Joseph David Emerson, 44, tried to activate the jet's fire suspension system mid-flight while he was sitting in the cockpit. A near catastrophic maneuver that left the aviator facing 83 counts of attempted murder. Had he been successful, he would have immediately cut off the flow of fuel to the engines. When pulled, the valve in the wing closes to shut off the fuel to the engine, said an Alaska Airlines spokesperson. After they are pulled, some residual fuel remains in the line, and the quick reaction of our crew to reset the handles restored fuel flow and prevented fuel starvation. Passenger Aubrey Gavello told the news that the crew had alerted those on board about a medical emergency in the cockpit before the emergency diversion. The flight attendant got back on the speaker and said, plain and simple, he had a mental breakdown. We needed to get him off the plane immediately. Sources close to the investigation said they don't believe his actions were based on any sort of ideology. Joshua Skull, a former FBI intelligence officer, told the news that federal investigators would probe Emerson's personal life. They're going to unpack this person's life. They're going to go through his social media, all of his computers, his phones. The flight's captain and first officer managed to subdue Emerson, who was off duty but authorized to sit in the cockpit as an employee of the airline.
Oh,
Yo,
okay. Here, there's an update to this story that I feel like I should mention because
please.
I saw a tweet on it. On Reuters, here's the headline. Um, Alaska Air pilot in aborted flight said he used magic mushrooms. So, an off duty pilot charged with trying to disable the engines of an Alaskan airline jet in flight told police afterwards he was suffering from a nervous breakdown, had taken psychedelic mushrooms 2 days earlier, and had not slept in 40 hours. He was riding in the standby employee passenger in the cockpit jump seat, and yeah, that's what happened.
Yo.
So, it's like, what was going that's what was going on, mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. Clear as day. I
Yeah.
see it now.
Yeah, now that you say something, oh, yeah, no, this is absolutely mushrooms.
Literally wouldn't have got a single count of murder charged against you if you would have just said that on a plane.
Well,
But
I
yo,
can't say it on the plane because you're going crazy. You know what I mean? Takes
oh
it
my God.
I imagine it takes, kinda being dragged off of a plane and probably put in a room for a while and given a lot of water, maybe, before before you're just like, "Oh, you know what this is? Yo, I bet this is the mushrooms."
Now that I think about it,
You know what? I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, "Hey, man, have you been to sleep in 2 days? No? What did you do before?" "Those mushrooms." That's probably how he told the cops.
oh man, you know how sometimes you stay up for 2 days straight? Nah,
No?
You don't do that?
Okay,
Okay.
well, how about when you feel a little anxious and you take mushrooms? Y'all, I know y'all have done that. Come on now. Y'all are cops. Absolutely, you can. Come on.
You don't take mushrooms before you fly? No? Oh, I do it every flight, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
That is
So,
spectacular. I can't see how this guy doesn't lose in court. He has to lose, right?
um,
Maybe a lesser charge, but he has to
a
take it. He's
lesser
gonna
maybe a lesser charge. Like, it doesn't sound like he's going to say, "I didn't do it." Like, right? But maybe he's going to I mean, I guess the way they can check to see if he's lying, although what a wild thing. What a wild thing to get get in that jump seat and just think, "Okay, I'm absolutely going to crash this plane," and then be thwarted and not even fight back that well, and then go, "You know what? I'll just say it was mushrooms."
Like that's the better.
Yeah, that's the why don't but because you still believe whatever it is that you believed that made you decide to crash the plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's not just, that's a hard I was going to say that's a hard intrusive thought to have, but this makes me wonder about intrusive thoughts. Do they scale up based on your ability?
Ooh. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Okay, so, like, when you have intrusive thoughts, uh they're thoughts that are, destructive or hurtful or whatever, they're they're about what you can do. You know what I could
Right.
do? I could crash this car. I could go across the yellow line and crash this car. I could drive off of this,
Yeah.
or I could absolutely go over there and punch that dude in the face. I could do blah, blah, blah. So then, but it's based on your ability. I
Yeah.
wonder if I could. So now, if you fly a plane and you're not like flying it at the moment, or maybe you are, can
Yeah.
you like do the thoughts scale up? You
Yeah. They
know?
have to.
Right. So I never really thought about that,
Right,
but
because it's not destructive unless it's destructive to
unless
you.
it's yes, exactly. And if you're in places where that's what destruction looks like for you,
Yeah.
yikes, yikes. So, there's that. But like yeah. I mean, I guess I could do a spinal tap on him and see if he has any mushroom left in his right? Is that the thing? Does
I have no
anyone
idea how you touch that. I'm
okay.
it's not
That's a
it's not hair, right? Like, it's not like weed
ooh,
and
is it?
is it?
No, I feel like or maybe that's acid that they can I feel like when I was in high school, the big thing was, in order to check to see if you had acid or maybe mushrooms in your system, they had to do a spinal tap and check your spinal fluid, and that's how they could find out. And then as technology got better, it was like, "Oh, they can check from hair." But by then I was not in high school, but I'm sure that was the high school thing of just like, "Don't let them get any of your hair," which won't let you look crazy at all if you're trying to keep your hair away from people.
You just have people showing up, like, skinless, like, just, like,
Right,
hairless, just, like, all raw skin.
just always with a hat on and never
Oh,
it seems very I don't know.
I'm suspicious. I have a lot of questions about this now. Like, one, this points out one of my biggest fears. I've always had this weird idea that like a surgeon was gonna like be in a weird mood one day and like during surgery, like do something small that like I have to let it slide because he saved me
Right.
and he knows it. So like, yo, like I had a heart attack and he like saved my heart, but like now I think my middle finger is my index finger, you know? So like it's like some little shit like that. Like I feel like they do it on purpose, you know? Like,
Are they just
oh
fucking with your body?
yeah, because I feel like he knows he can get away with it. He'd be like, yeah, but like you're alive, like you died. I put your heart back together. So like
So
I
Imma
can't
take a
be here yelling about like going like this with my thinking it's my middle finger. Like,
so Imma change some nerves around
yeah, just
while
like
I'm in
change some
here.
shit. You know what I mean? I gotta practice. I feel like doctors be doing shit like that all the time. They'd be like, yo, he can't say shit. I fixed the main issue, you know? So yeah, I played around a little bit. And what? Have him call me out on it. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. I mean, uh, honestly, I did not consider that as a fear until right now. Um,
Yo.
but I also think that when I had my gallbladder removed, it was not the way I was told it was going to happen.
Okay.
Um, they were supposed to do it laparoscopically, so, like a little incision around my like, near my belly button, and then one on the side, and they were gonna go in and take out a few stones, and then they got the camera, and then it turns out I was full of stones, and so they just sliced me open and took the whole
Yo.
gallbladder out, so I went under thinking I was going to have a couple little scars, and I came to with a 6.5-inch scar on my stomach.
See? And the
And
thing is, yo, real
and
talk shot.
I also think they put my belly button on upside down, and I can't explain that to anyone, but I swear to God, I remember looking at it and I was like, "That is not how you used to look.
And
I think you're
who do you
upside down, baby." And
how do you complain
who
about that? Yeah.
yeah,
Who would believe that story? Who do you
I don't
complain to?
I don't know.
Listen, I don't even think they needed your whole gallbladder shot.
I they didn't even I didn't even get a stone.
Real talk.
They took the whole thing. I was like, "Well, do I get it?" 'Cause I'm
Yo,
always like, can I get that? Like, can you just put that in a jar or something?" I know you guys can
yeah.
say a little formaldehyde or some shit, and, they probably say this to all the girls, but they told me, "Oh, no, we're going to study this." Like, med students are gonna study it. The way they said it made it sound like, "Yeah, this isn't something we see all the time," but I'm like after a couple of years, I was like, "Y'all must see fucked up gallbladders all the time. The way America eats, you absolutely do."
I don't think they needed that at all. Every
Mm.
like for example, every X-ray when they show me an X-ray
Mhm.
and they're like, "Yo, you see this thing here?" I'm like, "You just put that there with that marker you're using to point." Like, and none of this looks real to me. Okay, this whole thing
Right.
looks like a drawing you made poorly of a person. I could show you. I could draw. I could draw me way more accurately than this like see-through shit you're showing me. You know what I mean? You can't draw up the shit, okay? And you had a picture. You took a whole picture of me and didn't even do it accurately. You know what I mean?
You drew a you took a whole picture.
You guys are trash, you know? I don't think you had anything in your gallbladder. I think your gallbladder was fine. And it was
Uh,
like, yo, like
nah, there
toothpaste
were
kind of like.
stones. Don't get me wrong, there were stones. I'm sure it was a mess. I had been in pain for a very long time, and all anyone could tell me was like, "Oh, that's probably just a little indigestion, or it's probably like a trapped gas, like I needed to fart and it just took a left and instead of a right, and now it's near my lungs, like, "Where am I?" And poking to get out. So no one paid attention to me at all until I was just like, "Yo, please someone take an X-ray, like, it is the middle of the night, I feel like I'm dying." And they did, and they were like, "Oh, okay, you've got gallstones."
Ah,
Okay. So let's make an appointment to get those removed. And the initial surgery was going to be like 2 weeks later. And I called them like 2 days later and I'm like, you didn't give me any medicine for the pain, so I'm still dying. And they're like, all right, fine. So they did it like a Memorial Day of 1997. They went in there, they sliced me up, and then they had the nerve to tell me, "We didn't get all the stones, so we're gonna have a tube sticking out of you for 6 weeks."
how you gonna get all the stones?
I'm like, "You were in there? Were you looking? Check the feet.
Yo,
Go on,
yo,
look all the way. Get a
yo, real
flashlight."
talk, me. I shake my penis after I pee. You gotta like shake the
Yeah,
gallbladder.
did you
Like, yo,
I'm asleep. Go ahead and
yeah, go
move me
crazy.
around. I was very asleep.
You know what I mean?
You coulda checked many places if you needed to.
You gotta like tap the back. You know? Yo,
Yes, like ketchup, you gotta hit the 57s. Hit the
yeah,
57 on the side. Get all the gallstones out of
real
there.
talk. I'm already here, B. Oh man, you doctors are out of control, yo.
They
Uh,
really are. Ugh.
In other news, Los Angeles, the second rattiest city in the U.S., according to
Oh.
Orkin. That's right. When you think of rat-infested cities, dense metropolitan areas in the East Coast might first come to mind. However, according to pest control giant Orkin, Los Angeles also has a serious problem with the troublesome rodents. Orkin released its annual list of America's rattiest cities, and the city of Los Angeles landed in the number 2 spot, climbing up a notch year over year. Chicago was the number 1 city for the 9th year in a row.
Well, I guess it's not the second city to rats. Oh,
Oh man, San Fran was number 5, San Diego 28, and Sacramento was 33. The rankings, Orkin says, are not based on the number of rats in the city or any official count, but instead are drawn from the number of new rodent services, meaning how often they're called to deal with rat infestations. Rodents multiply swiftly, and when an infestation is left unattended, they can cause extensive damage to homes and yards. Rats are capable of squeezing into spaces through holes as small as a quarter, which makes it especially important to seal cracks from the outside. To
uh-huh.
give you the top rankings, Chicago was number 1, LA was number 2, moving up a spot. New York dropped the spot to number 3. DC was
Hey.
4. We out here, baby. Gang,
Yeah,
gang.
I was like, "Come on now. Where are we? We can't
Oh.
yo, what's happening?"
Oh yeah, DC is number 4, San Fran 5, Philly 6, Baltimore 7, Denver 8, Detroit moving up a spot to 9, and capping out the top 10 is Cleveland, Akron, which moved down a spot. Sorry, LeBron James. You know what I mean?
ATL, y'all are 14. Let's let's
Yo, come
let's see
on,
what
B,
we
put
can
some
do.
effort.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
no, it's fine. We get it. It's the fancier rats who are moving to Atlanta for a new life. The darker brown rats that are going there and opening up nail salons or something.
This struck a chord with me because like I'm always like looking at places that I might theoretically end up move to.
Mhm.
I'm in New York. This is one of the few things that is anti-New York for me. I absolutely despise mice, rats. That shit really irks me. And
Irks.
this, yeah, yo, I don't vibe with them.
I don't vibe with them. I mean, I agree 100% with everything you're saying, but the terminology is very funny to me. I just don't vibe with the rodents.
Real talk, they're not my people. You
No.
know, they ain't cool. I try to give them space, let them do what they do, and
Mhm.
they don't. Me and them don't connect. You know what I mean? I feel like I was under the perception that LA didn't have this popping outside of like their trees. Everybody tell me
Oh,
the
yeah, that they
palm
live
trees
underneath the
got them.
trees.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So I figured as long as I'm nowhere near palm trees, I'm good money.
Yeah, but
That was my plan.
you can't be nowhere near palm trees in LA.
I was gonna live in like the desert. You know what
I
I mean?
mean, LA is the desert. Don't let them tell you any different. LA is the desert.
Oh yeah.
It is the desert between the water and the mountains. We put a lot of flashy lights up there. They also planted a lot of things that are not supposed to grow there, which is why they have water restrictions because people are desperately trying to get their little purple flowers to grow and shit. And it's like they ain't supposed to be here.
So
It's
like
107 degrees in the fall. Like this isn't yeah.
they don't
Everyone's
match.
like, "Oh, the weather's so nice." Yeah, it's nice for a desert.
Not bad. I get it.
It's pretty good for the desert, you know?
I
But,
mean, all I want is so this is the thing. If I leave New York,
Mhm.
I want to be able to do one thing.
Mm.
I want to be able to go to my backyard, lay down on the grass, fall asleep without the fear of a mouse or rat potentially running me over.
Yeah,
I don't think that's possible in New York.
you're gonna want a hammock. You're gonna want a hammock.
So that's not possible on the floor.
No, not like that, no.
I want to just pass out on the grass and
Maybe
like
a
I know
park. Maybe go to a park because they've got people who are constantly like, you could go to a subdivision, you could live in a subdivision where no, no, roof rats. Look, okay, here's the thing. Because there are the normal, there are what are they called? Norway rats, which I think is what we are used to seeing.
Okay.
And then there are roof rats, which are a type of rat that are bigger and they stay like in they're outside too, but they really like to hem up in like attics and shit like that. Um yeah, so they will still be out there. You may want to go to a park. You're going to need to put a blanket down. Like I think yeah, I don't you know what I mean? You're still gonna wanna put because just because there are no rats doesn't mean there aren't wild bugs and stuff. I
I'm
don't want
okay
you
with bugs. I could
mm-mm.
swat a bug, but like
No, no,
mice
you
fight
can't.
back, yo.
Ain't no swatting a tick, my man. No, sir. That thing is on you, and it is sucking all your blood out.
It's fair. It's fair.
And there are so many I mean, like, there are bugs that you've encountered here in New York, but you haven't even begun to scratch the surface of bugs here.
That's fair.
Like yeah. Like the way that I mean, you guys have the huge like I guess maybe you call them water bugs or
Yeah.
whatever the big cockroaches. It's temperate enough here for them that they don't even feel like flying, right?
Yeah. Now I seen those in DR, the flying water bugs.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure in DR they must be the size of like Volkswagens out there.
Yeah. Nah, I could wear those as shoes. For sure.
Yes, absolutely. So that's horrible, and that's all the time. That's all the time. Day or night, they're just bombing your heads all the time. Um, but I
Why
mean,
can't I
like,
just have grass, Sha?
I
I
mean,
just want grass.
you can pay a lot for people pay a lot to have that kind of really nice plush green grass that
Yeah.
yeah, like, you will pay out the wazoo, but you will get to lay down in it. Um, I'd say do it in the daytime.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah,
I could do that.
but, I mean, there's still squirrels.
Yeah. I
Squirrels are
mean,
rodents. Squirrels are rodents with banker's hours and a jazzy jacket or something, but them motherfuckers are extremely territorial. They're very mean. I'm so anti squirrels. Oh, fuck those things.
God damn it.
They're petty. They're so petty. They throw shit at you. Like, ping. Oh, I know who that is. Ping.
He was here yesterday. Know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, Imma break into his house. Absolutely. Imma chew my way all the way through.
I heard him talking. He thinks this is his grass. Nah.
Yeah, right, yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe you could have, the kids play on a thing. I don't know if you hear all of this that's going on around me. Can you hear any of it?
Nah, you good.
Oh, good. I'm glad that I have, a problem with overbuying things because it has allowed me to have the amount of clothing behind me.
It's how you soundproof the booth right here. You got rappers in there, yo.
Yeah. Every time I buy something new, I go, I'm just soundproofing the booth. Um,
Well, shouts to Orkin for
yeah.
humbling Los Angeles a little bit. Know what I mean? They needed that, okay? I keep bragging about your beaches, okay? Rat infested beaches, apparently.
I mean, we really have I mean, honestly, they went up one and we went down one. So
Oh
we're
yeah.
probably neck and neck. But this year, you got that. You got
It's all
that,
you,
LA.
baby. Hell yeah,
And
yo.
congrats to Chicago for being number one. See,
Real
we think of
9
you.
years running.
You
9 years running.
We
Y'all
think of
got the
you.
crown.
We know you're more than gang violence. You were also rats. You're more
Might be correlation. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you are more than corruption. You're also rats. Oh, boy.
In other news, women across Iceland, including the prime minister, go on strike for equal pay and no more violence. That's fair. Okay. Schools, shops, banks, and Iceland's famous swimming pools shut down on Tuesday as women in the volcanic island nation, including the prime minister, went on strike to push for the end to unequal play and pay and gender-based violence. Icelanders awoke to all-male news teams announcing shutdowns across the country, with public transportation delays, hospitals understaffed, and hotel rooms unclean. Trade unions strikes main organizer called on women and non-binary people to refuse paid and unpaid work, including chores. About 90% of the country's workers belong to a union. Yo, that's what's up.
Damn.
Yo.
They got a union and we still gotta go on strike for this shit? That is wild business.
That is bananas. Prime Minister Katrin Jacobs Daughter said she would stay home as part of the strike. I can't say that word in Icelandic, and expected other women in her cabinet would do the same. Iceland, a rugged island of around 380,000 people, just below the Arctic Circle, has been ranked as the world's most gender equal country 14 years in a row by the World Economic Forum, which measures pay, education, healthcare, and other factors. No country has achieved full equality, and there remains a gender pay gap in Iceland. Tuesday's walkout, running from midnight to midnight, was billed as the biggest since Iceland's first such event on October 24th, 1975, when 90% of women refused to work, clean, or look after children to voice their anger at discrimination in the workplace.
They
Yo,
said,
this is
"And
dope.
looked after children."
Yo, they did no. Yo,
Hey, fuck them kids. I ain't do you ain't paying me no mind, I ain't doing shit.
real talk. When I knew this was different, when like they said including chores, I was like,
Yes.
yo, that's real.
You mean I gotta have I gotta make my own breakfast? Yeah.
Yo,
Wait, I gotta wash every dish. If you need a clean one, you do.
sound like a you problem.
Yo,
Yo,
that's kinda brolic.
that's diesel, yo. Respect, yo. Yo, if it means divorce, it means divorce. Okay. Real talk. You a single mom? Fuck them kids too. Okay. They gonna learn. Real talk. What if you a
Wow.
mother with 3 boys?
I guess those boys are just
Yo,
eating cereal straight out the box that day. You ain't
real
doing
talk.
nothing.
That's how you learn how to make grilled cheese wrong. Okay.
With the iron or something?
Straight up. I made it in the toaster.
Oh, no.
Straight up. You toast the bread. Then when the bread pops up, you put the cheese in the middle, then you smash it, and then you retoast it again.
All together in a
All
sandwich.
together.
I
Yeah.
mean, honestly,
Ain't bad. It
it's not a
works.
bad it's not bad. It could be worse. I mean, you absolutely gotta then go take the bottom out of it and clean whatever cheese. But if you
Yeah.
don't have so much cheese that it leaks out the side, you might be okay.
Yeah. You get strategic after a while. You put the cheese slice a little bit higher so that it melts
Sure.
down, but not all the way
All
out.
over. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Okay,
know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, look, that's not bad. As far as a quick fix,
Tell you.
that couldn't be much worse.
Hey, I thought that's how you made grilled cheese till I was like 26. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
that's
That's
the
how I made them.
problem.
You know what I mean?
That's the problem, I think.
That's what I thought it was. That's how I thought it was done. It made sense. Uh, shout outs to the women in Iceland. You know what I mean? Let them kids learn things the hard way. Okay, give them some
Mhm.
stories. Okay, you know what I mean? And the dudes like, yo, fix that. All right, you know,
I
it
mean,
makes
you guys
sense.
are so close.
Yeah,
If you're so close to no pay gap, just fucking get rid of the pay gap.
yeah, yo, be an example. Real
Yeah.
talk. Y'all can do this, B.
Also, note to self, because I realized they did those on the same day of the year. So do not be in Iceland on October 24th for any reason.
Real talk. It might get shut down on you. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
even if it's 50, 42 years apart, whatever, just don't do it.
Can't chance it. You know.
Mm-mm. Pick another day.
Oh man! In other news, neighbors want Forest Hill Stadium to turn down the volume at concerts. That's
Mm.
right. Forest Hill Stadium capped off its concert season earlier this month with a 3-night electronic dance festival that literally shook the surrounding neighborhood. Christopher Jure, 46, said he had unwanted front row seats to the show. It was like a scene from Jurassic Park. when the dinosaurs are coming. You see the water start to shake. I like that. I could be inside my house. I could be outside my house. It doesn't matter. It feels like I'm on the stage. The sold out blowout headlined by DJ Fred again ended a season where Forest Hill Stadium celebrated its 100th anniversary. Dre and other neighbors said the music, repeat with throbbing bass, made the outdoor stadium louder than ever. According to City Records, the Department of Environmental Protection has issued 7 unreasonable noise violations against Forest Hill stadiums in the past 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah, go figure. The DEP told the local news Gothamist it is working with the stadium's operators to on noise mitigation. At the city's request, the venue has hired an acoustic consultant to install noise muffling devices. Those measures come 8 years after the stadium operator implemented $500,000 worth of noise suppression measures, including concrete fences and a stairway covers.
Hey,
Uh,
have you been to Forest Hill Stadium for a concert before?
I have not, but I've been in the area when one is happening. Have
Okay.
you?
I have, for the first time, I went to 2 shows this year.
Nice. What
And,
shows?
the first one was like, some weird festival-y show, that seemed to travel, but it took up 3 days, and they had 3 different headliners. So the day that I went, the headliner was Steve Lacy, and then the support was James Blake and,
Hell yeah.
Toro y Moi? I forget. Um, I forget. I think maybe I think maybe Toro. Either way, it was James Blake and then other people. And then which is how I see things, James Blake and then other people, but also Steve Lacy, a big fan. So that was the first time. And then the second time I saw Queens of the Stone Age. And that's a proper rock band. It,
Oh,
so, so I will say this, I kinda liked because it is a stadium, but it was a tennis stadium,
yeah.
and so it's smaller than what you would think of when you think of, like, a stadium, and, it you can hear it, sure, as we're walking towards it, you can hear it, and it's in the middle of this neighborhood, or at least there's a neighborhood around the back end of it,
Yeah.
um, but it's I I imagine, because I think the thing is they ramped up the number of shows because it's post-COVID and so many people were touring, especially this year.
Yeah.
There were so many shows and they were just like, "Great, we'll just do them every night." Um, so I'm sure that might have gotten the folks, but they have like a hard out at 11, I think. They shut all noise everything down at 11. Um and, I know people are upset who live around there, and I'm sure they've complained about other things. I liked seeing shows there, but I will say a 3-day electronic music festival, spoken as someone who enjoys a good amount of electronic music, not necessarily the EDM that the people enjoy right now,
Yeah.
um, but I have a history of whatever there was a version of that in the '90s, that's what I was into. Um, 3 days?
Yeah. That's real.
That's literally torture. If as someone who enjoys electronic music, that's torturous if you dabble or if you don't like it. That's too
Yeah.
much,
Real talk. That's a lot.
because if it's just like a repetitive beat, when it
Yeah.
ends after the first night, you're still hearing that in your head if you're not used to it. And by the time you finally clear it out of your head, here they go again. Oonch, 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 oonch. 3 days of blips and bleeps? I don't know if I could do it. And again, I like it. And some of the stuff I like is experimental with it, where it's not even in a 4/4 time. It's like a 13/8 time or some shit. And I would be like, yo, I'll give this like 45 more minutes and I'm gonna go get something to drink. You know what I mean? So if you can't escape it,
Listen,
yeah.
a few things. I feel like for those of y'all unaware, Forest Hills is like it's a neighborhood in Queens. in New York. I would say where this stadium specifically is, it borders some of the more affluent people in Queens too.
Of course
Um,
it does.
you know what I mean? So like they got this guy in the article. He's 46 years old. I am willing to bet he is the youngest person in that neighborhood. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
real
because the
talk.
housing is like the houses are styled they're like old school, like Tudor
Yeah,
houses, so they're older houses, and I'm like, "Well, you need money to keep an older house nice." And I'm
yeah,
looking at the cars. You can't even drive up to it, and you can't park in the neighborhood. You basically have to walk from
yeah.
blocks away to get in. Like it's the cops are there to block it off. And there's a place like this in Atlanta I'm thinking of, the Chastain neighborhood, and there's a Chastain amphitheater. And it's the same kind of thing. A lot of people with a lot of money in those houses, and they got a little amphitheater that's smaller than what this is. An amphitheater, but it's, outdoors, and they have a whole season. And my sister lived in that area for a while, and so I would help her get groceries out the car, and I'm like, "Is that Duran Duran?" You know what I mean? Like, I'm hearing off in the distance, but it was same thing, though, they had a hard curfew. Let me tell you, they
Yeah.
pulled the plug on James Brown. They don't fuck around at Chastain. They pulled the plug on James Brown in Atlanta. They were like, "Bruh,
Living in it. That's it, dude. You
that's
out,
it.
dude.
That's it. You may be living in America, but at Chastain, you were done by 10:45." All
Yo, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you got those cribs there, you're old money. You
Mhm.
don't need anything in life. Like, you are comfortable. Because every right next to them, you have a really nice shopping strip and a
Yeah.
very busy upper middle class neighborhood. And people are dying for that real estate. And they're like, nah, we good. I don't care how much New York has changed everywhere else. Every single one of these houses is staying exactly the way it looked in 1945. You know what I mean?
Right.
Regardless.
Yep.
And they're beautiful, but they're a very specific time capsule in New York.
Mhm.
And though that generation does not fuck with EDM music for 3 hours,
Yeah.
3 days in a row. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that's not the same demo. And then like everything that comes with that. To your point, like they paid extra money for those cribs when they got them. They pay extra money to live a certain way. No cars are parked in that neighborhood. So because of that, unless you're literally someone's grandkid, there's no one walking around that neighborhood. Then when
Yep.
these shows come up, it's a huge amount of people walking through their neighborhood to go to
Only
a
but
concert.
only a certain way, like, you
Only a
can't.
certain path.
They got cops at every intersection, so if you wanted to
Yeah.
just walk around and look at the houses, the cops are like, "Bitch, you better go up to that stadium and then go
Yeah,
back
B.
over to that train. We are not trying to have you just look around." Well, you trying to case the joint?
You
Mm-mm.
know what I mean? I bet see keys. Like whose
Yeah.
house you going to specifically? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Let me call them and
yo,
announce you. Like, yeah, it's wild. Because even at Chastain, you can drive in there and you could kinda park. They may have kinda tightened that up now, but, and also there were particular acts, like, there were types of acts that Chastain would book.
yeah,
Which I think it could have been the case at Forest Hills at one point, but like I said, I saw James Blake one time and Queens of the Stone Age another, and then they do an EDM fest. At
yeah,
Chastain, they were doing like I saw Harry Connick Jr. there, you know what I mean? I saw John Legend there. It was a lot of like, maybe Erykah Badu was there, but it's not and Erykah Badu, I guess she probably only played 30 minutes with her late ass, but, I mean, she's not Lauryn Hill late, but,
right, right.
you know, she takes her time. She takes her time.
I knew it was different when Bill Burr played there. I was like, yo, like I'm a fan, but like just him yelling curse words
Birds,
into
yes.
the night, like it's just not the energy of that neighborhood. So like, and being real, I get that. Like if I'm 65, 70, I don't want that noise on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Like real talk, like I
yeah,
paid for peace and quiet, you know? Like I love to hear that story from my grandson about the EDM concert he went to when he comes to visit me a month later from
yes,
whatever state he saw that concert in. I don't expect that concert to be the reason he's visiting me, looking for a place to crash after the show. It's just not the vibe of what I paid for here. So I get it. It's some interesting opportunity to negotiate. you
Yeah,
know?
I
But the
mean,
shows are fire there from everyone that I hear about.
yeah,
Everyone that,
I
like, goes
really,
there.
like, no not too many, like, bad seats, and I like how it's laid out, and when they say they did, like, the canceling, like, the cement over the stairwells, because I mean, that could just be a bowl where it all the sound just, like, whips up and into the air, and you could hear it, like, for miles and miles, but they definitely tamped it down because when you go up the stairs to go into the performance space,
Yeah,
um that is so it's I've never heard anything that quiet before. Like, you walk in and you feel the sound literally being absorbed and just sucked out of that walkway and up those stairs. And all I could hear was just very faintly as if your ears got plugged, like, plugged from the inside, like you're on a plane, and you're trying to yawn. Like, everyone got in there and started trying to yawn to clear out their ears, and it wasn't on them, it's just the sound, and I would hear faintly someone behind me going, "Yo, it got real quiet in here." Like, that's all I heard. "Yo, it's really quiet." I was just like, "I kinda love it in here," honestly, and then you walk out and it's not I mean, you're like, "Oh, okay," but it never I mean, I get it though, if you live in those areas. I wouldn't necessarily want to be in that space either. Um, but, uh but yeah, I did like the performance space.
amen. They gotta be
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they everybody's touring again.
Real talk.
Yeah.
If you would like to support the opening of the East
Uh-oh.
New York Amphitheater, that's right. I'm willing to knock down my house to support this in exchange for a percentage of the money and a place to live
Now, how
and
exactly will
grass.
the East New York amphitheater work? Like, who's performing there?
We
What's
will
your
be booking
curfew?
curfew is at 11:30. We still got work the next day. We will be
Okay.
booking Papoose exclusively. Um he will be doing 365 dates a year. Uh
All papoose
all
everything?
Papoose every day. You know what I mean? Occasionally Troy Ave. But that's
Ugh.
it. Afu Ra will come through on occasion actually. Real specific niche audience.
Okay, so
Uh,
they have to be from East New York?
that's it. Tony Danza could come play.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? I don't know what he's gonna do on stage for an hour and a half, but he's
He tap
welcome.
dances. He's a song and dance man. He's
Well,
on Broadway.
got Tony Danza. Oh, AZ is one of my favorites. AZ could come through. You know what I mean?
Wow. So
Not
it
Nas, AZ. Nas is great, but he's from Queens. AZ from
okay.
East New York. Yeah, real niche audience, real niche stage performance. Like and subscribe to the show, baby. If you're Apple, Spotify listener, we appreciate your ratings. 4 stars. You don't think there's enough of an audience. Gotta say, I might agree, even though I love these artists.
Yeah, you might be the only one.
5 stars, okay. Even if there isn't enough of an audience, you admit it'd be a great show. Okay. They
Would
know how to
it?
rock the crowd. I think
I
AZ would be great. I love AZ. Afu Ra might be a little old to rock the crowd, but I like this music.
Mhm.
Uh Troy Ave has like 3 songs I really fuck with. I don't know the rest
Okay.
of his catalog like
How is
that.
Troy Ave? Is he out?
I don't know. It's a good question. You might be in.
He might be
Um,
in. I don't
you
know.
know what I mean? We'll get him on loan. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure. Oh, wow.
Work it out.
But, regardless of that, there will always be papoose, no matter
There
what
you go. We
happens.
got Papoose, baby. He's free. He's single. He's ready. This is
Oh,
the time.
man.
Fun fact. I You mentioned Steve Lacy. I thought Steve Lacy was in Brownish for like 3 years. I didn't realize it was another dude.
You
I was
thought
like,
he
yo,
was in
Steve,
what?
Grownish.
Oh,
You know,
Grownish.
yeah, I thought he was the guy dating Zoe's character, like
Okay.
the artsy dude. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, Steve Lacy killing it. He like dropping fire, and he's in this acting show. It's another dude
No,
with a
it's not
similar
the
hair
same
thing.
guy.
Yeah, equally artsy dude, cool dude too. But
Oh,
another guy.
really?
But Steve, I was giving you credit. Because of that, you are welcome to be the only non-East New Yorker on this show. Come through. You know, bring the guy that I thought was you too. Y'all could do like a whole thing. Together. It'd be great.
He's a big old star. There were all kinds of
Yo, Steve is huge. Okay, you're
Yeah,
making it happen out there.
little baby.
If you have any articles you want us to cover, please DM us directly on Twitter or Instagram at Silky Jumbo, at Gastor Almonte. Shout outs this week to Dana Ford, Iron Fist Mom, Lori McDaniel, and Wendy Locke. With all that said, I am excited to meet Steve Lacy and his doppelganger, Gastor Almonte, with the curator of the East New York Amphitheater, Shalewa Sharpe.
He didn't give me much to work with, but we'll see what happens.
Easiest job in the world, baby. That's right.
Gonna be me saying, "Hey, we can't get started till Papoose gets."
Papoose is on lunch, yo. Real
Yeah.
talk, okay? He's in the union. We hired him through Iceland, okay? All right. This has been a closet episode
Yep.
of the War Report like these. Catch y'all next time. Peace.
Once the girls go cold.